So I wonder, does this mean she's gonna go out of her way? Yeah, so she's gonna go out of her way to kill him for Aqua then, right? That is the right answer. Objectively, that is the right answer. Unfortunately, she has no idea he now knows about the fucking father. You've trademarked our name? This is beyond being exploited. I love how they're making this comedic, but this is actually the most horrifying shit ever. Oh man, idols have no rights. Oh, isn't he supposed to be married? They got like an open relationship where they don't want too many details on the others. Okay. So he's actually not cheating. They both know and accept what's going on. I don't know. What would you do in this moment? The grand picture of this industry. Probably one of the nicer interactions you're going to have with a director, unfortunately. It's still a pile of dog shit overall, but, you know, at the end of the day, that's probably the best we're going to see in this industry. And the fact that she's willing to get drunk around him and he's probably not going to take advantage of that. But she actually didn't do anything. That's the crazy thing. She wasn't sleeping around. She didn't go on the casting couch. It's crazy to think about the fact that had this literally been, probably anyway, any other dude, KANA wouldn't have been able to say no. Like, the unfortunate hard pill to swallow in this entire situation is that he was the best out of the worst pile. It's like a pile of dog shit seemed honestly like a knight in shining armor in the sea of cow shit. This man, he does have an idea of what consent is. Unfortunately, it's not to the exact degree it should be. When you hold a power imbalance over someone, and that someone needs to sleep with you in order to land that gig. Now, honestly, he's interesting enough that, fuck, maybe he would give her a gig anyway. But the fact that once she says no, he does respect that, and I can respect that, but that should be a given, right? Like, if someone says no, it means no. Like, we shouldn't really put them on a moral pedestal because of that. But unfortunately, in a sea of directors who decide how they do probably cast a lot, not just because of the casting couch, but just Hollywood in general, or in this case, idol industries, entertainment industries. Despite this man having a lot of good intentions, I want actual actors. I want people, you know, he's like, there's a lot of shit being made in Japan. Fuck! She nearly sold her body, and if it wasn't for those tears, he would have continued. He would have been like, oh, she's just timid and shy. Let me spread them legs. This could have went very differently, and unfortunately, it's still going to be bad. Because as she left his house, it's basically the walk of shame, right? There's pictures being taken. Nothing actually happened other than drinking. But the tabloids are going to write themselves. Shit. Now you know what to do. Got the further the video. Drop a like, help show your support, subscribe, ring that bell if you haven't already. And Patreon's where you're going to catch my full live reactions, also more, which does help fund the channel. Videos just like these. So, this is a good episode. I mean, when you kickstart an episode with basically the phrase, idols have no rights, you know you're in for a good time. And the unfortunate thing for a character like Ruby is that, you know, the group we're with is also the best in a pile of shit. Like, yeah, they're a little more free-oriented with, you know, things that you can and can't do. But the fact that her name isn't even her name as she leaves the industry. Like, her legal name is copyrighted. What? Why would anyone want in this industry? And then there's Aqua. I do respect what she said on the phone. Unfortunately, this was a point where we should have manipulated him. She has no idea that he knows what he now knows about his dad. And he calls up, what should I do? And she's like, I can't control you. You're your own person. I can just support you. If only she knew, huh? Honestly, though, even if she knew that he knew, would anything have changed? I don't know. The thing about this is, this episode gave me the impression that she is willing to kill for Aqua. I feel like what's been implied is that she understands that the way everything happened, no court of law can legally find his dad guilty. So in doing so, the only way revenge could happen is through getting your hands bloody and dirty. And it really feels to me like they're implying she's going to do that for Aqua. Now, given that Aqua now knows, and she doesn't know that he knows, and everyone knows he knows that it's a knowing fest, they're going to work together, aren't they? I feel like that's what's going to build up. They're going to slowly realize they're both doing the same thing as they have this relationship blossoming. And the unfortunate thing is she's incredibly supportive. The issue is she's willing to kill. Now, has that been confirmed? No, but it's heavily hinted at. I'm telling you, there's only two actual options. Apparently in Oshi no Ko, shipping wars is what ruined this series. Now, I'm sure there's some select people, they're like, oh no, I just didn't like the pacing at the end. That's fine. But I've been getting told since last week that apparently last week's episode onwards is where shipping wars ruined Oshi no Ko. Why in the fuck do you unironically care who ends up with who? Now, it's okay to be like, oh, I think this character would be healthier for him. That's a natural response. Who do you think my favorite character is? Because if you bring up Akane and Kana, which one is healthier for him? Probably Kana. She's just a normal fucking girl, and I don't think Kana is willing to kill for Aqua. How do you think I would rank Kana in the grand picture of all the girls? She's at the bottom. Not because I think she's a shit character, but just I like the other characters more. So me saying that is not because I'm on the shipping wars. No, if Aqua had a brain, he would be with Mem. That is the true pairing. But my actual unironic shipping is therapy. That's the only thing any of these fucking characters should be in right now. Until we therapy out this bullshit, we just leave love as it is. But this is a hell of a scene, man. It's interesting, too, because there's a lot of cases. I've read different stories and different interviews and stuff, and probably can just imagine the stuff you don't hear about. People thinking they have it in them to do what it takes to rise up their rankings and get casted and, you know, just get your... Once you get the spotlight on you, doors just open without necessarily having to do stuff like this. But unfortunately, stuff like this is how you would have to open up many doors. And it's so interesting because, like I said, pile of dog shit, but when you're looking at a pile of cow shit, which one seems more appetizing? And the thing about him is he threw me for a loop the whole time. And I think it's intentionally designed because this dude legitimately seemed nice. He seemed like a decent guy. I felt myself getting date raped by this man because I was like, man, I have some red flags, but he's married. He's also seeming nice. I'm a fucking idiot. But here's the thing. He has an open marriage. Now, the open marriage is basically both sides of the marriage don't ask questions. They just don't want details on what's happening with the other, but they're aware. So it's not cheating in any way. It's just an open marriage without wanting to, you know, hear about the cucking, basically. Unfortunately, he has a lot of good ideas in his head, but he's still a piece of shit. Nicer piece of shit than a lot of the pieces of shit, but piece of shit nonetheless. And that's frustrating. Man, it's been a hell of a week for anime with disturbing subject matter in varying ways, man. Listen, Oshi no Ko, I think, has gotten better with each season. Maybe when we get to the last season, my tune will start to change. But if I look at the past few weeks of Oshi no Ko, they're doing different things and escalating the show in different ways. And I feel like one of the biggest praises I can give right now to this author is that despite all of the characters almost going down completely different paths, I would think a character like Kana would be sidestepped, she wouldn't really be focused too much on anymore, and they're doing a great job at balancing the characters on top of the revenge story, and I think they're doing a really good job. Maybe things could change, but I do think if people actually unironically get caught up in shipping wars, that's just ridiculous. I'm not saying you shouldn't have an opinion on who you think a character should be with, but if that character not being with that person, listen, if the end of this story is Aqua takes a shotgun to the mouth, I'm not going to be mad. I'll be devastated, but I'd understand it. If it's him with the most toxic bitch known to man at the end, I'd get it. May not be, you know, emotionally satisfying, but I get it. If he ends up with the sweetest angel, good for him. At the end of the day, I just want to see how this author writes this toxic environment, and so far I've liked what they've done. Your thoughts down below. Do you agree with me? Therapy is the #1 waifu, though. Do let me know down below. Drop a like, share, support, subscribe, ring that bell. Patreon for live reactions and exclusives. Like, hey, I love to give those video shoutouts because my patrons make it all possible. Alrighty, so today we got Frank Stendel, David Walker, CCC Studios, Lucky, Nathan Matthews, Charlie X, and Earl888. I appreciate the support. Please take care, and y'all have a good one.